firms to come out instead of going to the market first or partnering early? Why are you making that recommendation? Because I love the strategy. I'm asking about why you positioned it the way you did.
Actually, this technology, the smart grid technology, is fairly new to the market. As we explained in the Boulder city in Colorado, this technology has just been placed in that city. So currently in the Ontario province, the government is trying to implement this technology. So it would be hard for Direct Energy to make a first mover's advantage and actually try to speculate that it will gain huge amounts of profits from this technology and supply it all to its customers. So it's actually waiting for companies like Cisco, Google, and some of these companies for it to actually develop these web-based programs and try to really capture the consumer's mind to see how successful these services are.
I'll give one more inclination to that. Recently in the moving services division, like HVAC services that they offer, what they did, they had a tie-up with LifeWare, which is a company that went and made some good software, some good programs, and now you can actually see your energy consumption on the press of a button. So that technology they are actually doing some R&D in that, and they will come up with some solutions. The problem with smart grid is it's a futuristic technology. Even the report from Ontario government agencies have told that they can't actually have a time limit for it. So what happens is, if that is not there, then investment right now into it, and also it is basically into energy services. They are not into hardware and software or making IT products. So it is better always to have a tie-up with a good company, have a giant to back you, and then you can basically finish the business.
I'll share with you a quick insight, and then I'm going to pass it over. So the dilemma is when you look at the geographic scope of Ontario. If you look at your problem from a geographic vantage point, you're correct in your assumption. Centrica is a global company. Centrica is a British company. And what you'll find is in different parts of the world, and I use Korea, Japan, China in particular, in the new development cities that are being generated in that part of the world, you will find enormous integrated automation between IT, power generation, distribution. And so Centrica, it would seem, as a global player, might look to those examples, instead of waiting for them to play out in the Canadian model, look to take those models and bring them here sooner versus later. I mean, that's just...
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. But in fact, 2 days back we had interaction with our industry expert. We actually told about the smart grid concept, and we told that how you would like to go ahead in this particular area. He said that Direct Energy always has a wait and watch policy. So if you even say that I'm going to go ahead, have a tie-up, that never happens here. So he said that is the way that they want to go ahead.
So you used his guidance as a benchmark for what's realistic.
Yes, what's realistic. Because if we say that you go ahead and have a tie-up, it makes more sense, but the company is not going to do it. And he said that that is more valuable for the company, the plan that they have.
At the same time, as you said, Direct Energy is aware of this situation and the new technology. So once this technology actually comes out in the market with web-based programs, companies actually providing this solution, it would probably encounter this technology really fast and be able to provide it to its customers.
Great.
I'm a little confused. I don't understand quite what you mean by an asset-light approach.
Basically, what a retailer in today's see the market is deregulated. Yeah. So any retailer, a small retailer, would think that okay, I just have to get energy from the wholesale market and supply it to the consumers. I mean, you don't need to have assets, upstream assets. Okay, so this is what they call, their term, is their industry term, that they call it asset-like approach. That is, you don't have any upstream assets. So this is what Direct Energy currently has. It doesn't have much of a focus in upstream. It's only focusing on retailing segment. So we are.
So it doesn't seem to be it has any assets at all. It's not. It's using a distribution system that it doesn't own.
Okay. So basically, what happens is a retailer is just a person who buys energy from generation companies and then sells it to the end customer. They are not having any generation plants.
Right.
That is the business model that they used to work in. But this business model itself creates a problem over long term. When you become a big player, you start hedging more energy because you need to be safe on that side.
I can't understand all that. It's just the phrase asset light.
Yeah, in
approach
fact,
that
It's the
stymies
industry.
in fact, that's what he
industry.
uses. Like, we also questioned him on that what does it exactly mean? He said this is the term that we use.
He was like the asset-free approach.
Exactly.
Is it unlike or is it free? But that's what he said. We use.
So your emphasis, obviously, is to acquire baseload plants. So they've acquired some
Yeah.
already. Gas generation
Yeah,
plants.
those are basically intermediate plants.
Yeah.
So right now they're in the intermediate plants, but now they have to make a move towards these kinds of plants. That's what we do.
So, but then you're talking about the solar and wind. Don't seem to me to fit into baseload plant definition.
That is our future concept that we are suggesting direct energy to move in. That's a new kind of generation, the green energy concept that we are trying to bring into direct energy.
Well, I understand the green energy.
No, but what we're suggesting is that base load is only for the current and the hedging problem. And the green energy, we're not saying that full flow you have to go into green energy, but by neglecting the base load plants and other type of plants. We're just saying there's one more avenue that will open up in the future, and you have to start thinking about this too. But then we're not saying by any means that only go into green energy and completely ignore the base load plants. If you're doing your base load plants, go ahead with that because it'll solve your hedging problem, it'll mitigate the risk that you're currently exposed to. But at the same time, don't just concentrate on base load. There's green energy going to come, it's going to come in a big way. You'll have to move into renewable sources as well. So start focusing on that aspect as well.
As an observation, there was a study maybe a year or so or more ago about the wind generation system in Denmark, which turns out that it's in fact costs more money because the usual problem, the wind doesn't blow when you most need it.
Even in that regard, in Ontario, they are having a few pilot projects running here. In Exhibition Palace, they have a Windshare company who is doing a pilot project, and they are trying to see what is the feasibility of this kind of an approach. So they are doing it in Toronto itself, right? In future, and the 2025 vision of OPA, which has been submitted to Ministry of Energy, says that in 2025, 15% of the energy is going to be fulfilled by wind power. So there is a push towards that area that the government wants innovation to go into.
In the company, your statistics, I can't quite find it here, but your statistics suggested, I think you said 400,000 customers in Ontario, which is like 10% of the national customer base. Is that right?
Yeah.
That they have?
Yeah.
Yes.
So where are the other?
Basically, we were looking into the electricity business of direct energy. Direct energy is also into natural gas. So 4.5 million covers natural gas over the entire Canadian region and the and services as well.
Okay.
So it's a integrated.
Okay.
One thing about the bullfrog power is that the early adopters of that type of energy are at a different point on the demand curve. I have to put my husband and myself in that category. We're one of the first people to subscribe to bullfrog power, and my husband got invited to all these events, and his name fades on their got our picture. He went to the Grand Canyon and put the bullfrog power hat on and had his picture taken at Grand Canyon, got it on their website. But the elasticity of the demand for alternative energy is certainly it's not a flat demand curve, right? Because there are people who are passionate about the environment, willing to pay the premium. So you've got to be careful when you do forecasting demand that you move to the people who care less about the environment and are less willing to pay. So their model is something that can't be just simply rolled out to everybody.
What the Green Energy Act that we spoke of, what it is actually is that government is actually going to subsidize the green energy in the future. So, the premium is going to reduce in that aspect. And what it's suggesting is also for the future. Say for example 5-10 years down the line, when there's actually more awareness and more acceptability amongst Ontarians for the green energy. That's when, the people will start accepting green energy. And plus the price will also reduce given the subsidy the government is planning to offer.
even if we see the statistics, now in 2005 the report was sent to Ministry of Energy and they said yes, go ahead with your plan and 15% wind energy that you want to have in 2025, and we can see immediately it shot up. You can see the installed capacity go actually doubled in 2006. So generators immediately took some points out of that development that was taking place, and based on that also